We're having so much fun here. Welcome back to Media in Focus. We'll continue our conversation with campaign beat reporters Drilon, Alvin, Elchico, and Willard Cheng. Another controversy during the campaign season was the fake psychiatric report on Senator Aquino. ABS-CBN got a lot of flack for the airing of the first psych report. Let's watch this.
Every bit of gossip becomes front page news. No? You need to have attribution. Now, there has to be somebody responsible for what is being said.
Okay, Seth, this focuses on you again. You seem to be at the eye of the storm. Why did you do that report, and how did you fend off all of the flack you got?
Well, first, it was the desk that alerted me to the psych report. I was in Cabanatuan covering their rally there. And so they emailed, the desk told me there's this report. We don't know if it's true or not. We're verifying, but we also want you to ask Senator Aquino about it. So they emailed it to me. I had to print it from some gaming place. It was brown out pa. I had to wait. So you know, they were saying, when do you think you can ask the senator? And I said, he's speaking at a graduation ceremony as a rally. And then when I got the psych report, I said, I have to get him privately.
Yes.
It has to be a sit-down interview. And so when I went to him at that graduation rally, where he wasn't even supposed to be speaking, he suddenly just found time to do it. And I asked him if I could talk to him after the rally about this. Well, I didn't tell him yet. If I could have 3 questions with him after the rally. And he said, really? Now na. I said, now? Can we go to a corner? It was, we didn't really want that.
You didn't want the public to hear it?
Yes. In fact, when I was in that gaming place to, internet place to print it, I was even covering the eyes of the operator. I said, you cannot see this. I'm sure that it's not in the memory. You have to, because I was so worried.
Yes.
I was so worried that we were pursuing it as if maybe it were true.
Okay. So when you broke the story, that's when the flack started to come. And that's when that statement came from.
Well, there was a feeling that it was no longer necessary because it had been denied by Father Tito Kaluwag and by Noy himself. So what's the point of airing?
Okay.
But then it was about the black propaganda. It was not so much about the psych report, but about what's being foisted on
during the campaign, there's a lot of black propaganda that's going around. How do you sift it from what is fact and what you can, legitimately report and send back to the desk?
First, I think it should be clarified that it is not the sole decision of the reporter.
Yes.
It was an editorial judgment by the whole ABS-CBN. I tell you, there were plenty of debates before the report came out. May ayaw, may gusto. So it's a collective decision. Panindigan natin, we attack it from an angle na black propaganda
In
siya.
fact, there was even a debate. I said, when I ask Senator Aquino this, and if he says to me, confidentiality of medical records, what will I do? And I said, he's a president, he's a candidate for the presidency. You can ask him that. It's a legitimate issue. I said, but if he says medical ethics, records, he cannot speak. But then, he was so candid. He was so candid. I was shocked.
He did not complain.
No, until later when he said,
this is
I said,
false.
can I see this? And then he was reading, and I said, this is false. He
But
gave it back to me. But then he was so candid. He was so natural. He was, he was speaking the truth. You will be, you'll be convinced that. In fact, I felt really bad after
having asked those questions.
Yes. Because I asked him, so did you take marijuana? Were you on alcohol? Did you do this? Did you do that?
Well, were you satisfied by the answer? Because the Villar camp, what the Villar camp is saying, why don't you just answer it straight? Did you do drugs?
Yes.
Were you under
No,
psychiatric?
straight.
And what did he say? Did he say, no, I did not take drugs. In my life, never. Yun lang naman naantay nila kasi sabi ng Villar, naliligo din sila sa black propaganda, C5.
Oo nga.
Covering the Teodoro campaign, I was enjoying my peace and quiet. because
There were no controversies
the
surrounding.
candidate I was covering would not get involved in any of the exchange
But
of
for you, no, because Gibo was gaining ground towards the end, right? Was when he was gaining ground, did you find that there were more attacks against him, and what was the challenge being there with him?
there were all these texts going around who's going next, who's withdrawing next his support from Teodoro.
Yeah, okay.
Which candidate is withdrawing support from Teodoro, which congressman. And the challenge was to first verify it from the person being named in the text. So basically the black propaganda was just that, who's withdrawing support from Teodoro, not so much about his character.
Okay, but you were conscious that you could be used for black propaganda.
Yes.
You could. And how did you cut that bias?
Well, for me, para sa hindi ko kasi decision lang eh. It goes through different channels that when it comes out on the air, it should be sifted already.
So there's a lot of vetting. The vetting
Yes,
process is very
there's so much
strict.
vetting.
Okay.
In fact, you don't just report from the field, you know,
Anything
it has
that
to
is
go
fed
through
you.
so much.
All right. Well, let's go to Chris Aquino now, who called you, or news, the news department, evil for airing this clip.